the pro-Palestinian movement in America is the most anti-American movement I've ever seen in the streets of this country. And you see it at Columbia University. If you're a young Jewish student, or quite frankly, a MAGA Christian, if you walk across that campus, you will be attacked. It's going to be quite violent and quite dangerous.
Indeed, the other great conflicts of our age seems to be almost spilling into the streets of the United States and of London, certainly. What are your views on the situation at Columbia University this week that's seen the pro-Gaza, anti-Israel spill into horrific scenes? And what do you reckon a future President Trump administration would do in regards to the Middle East situation?
What you're seeing right now is what I call the DEI civil war. You're seeing the progressives in our country, the Sharia supremacists, because that's what this pro-Palestinian, and I'm on record saying the pro-Palestinian movement in America is the most anti-American movement I've ever seen in the streets of this country. And you see it at Columbia University. If you're a young Jewish student, or quite frankly, a MAGA Christian, if you walk across that campus, you will be attacked. It's a very dangerous. I have a team up there that just came from the Darien Gap and the border, and they're telling me that NYU last night and Columbia yesterday afternoon is more dangerous than the Darien Gap, is more dangerous than the cartel-controlled town of Juarez, Mexico.
How has the country got into a state like that? How has that been allowed to happen?
By the way, all the progressives, and particularly the progressive Jewish community, underwrote this for years. Remember, Columbia was taken over during BLM, George Floyd's anti-Trump. This has been building for years. And now this Sharia supremacism, and it's not going to back down. They control right now the Ivy League campuses. Columbia just announced today that for the rest of the year, courses can be taken online. So all the Jewish students won't be in the buildings. They'll be taking the courses online, I think with many other conservative students too. So the jihadists, the Sharia supremacists, have won and have taken over at least Columbia. I think you're going to see many more Ivy League schools like this. I think NYU is going to go like this. The Democratic Convention I think it's in August in Chicago, yeah. I believe right now on the same track will look like the exact images you saw in 1968 in Chicago. People should understand this revolt of Sharia supremacists in this country is just picking up steam, and it's going to be quite violent and quite dangerous.
And what does Biden do about it in the meantime? How do you solve it?
But if Biden doesn't appease it, the way he solves it is he's going to try to get Netanyahu to back off going in Rafah and taking. There's 4 combat divisions of Muslim Brotherhood Hamas in the south. There's 2 combat divisions in Judea Samaria. He needs to get a ceasefire quickly. You saw in Michigan, Harry, in the primary, I think it was up to a third of the voters, either in this around Dearborn, which has a heavy Arab American Muslim population, didn't come forward. But in Ann Arbor, at the big universities, was the biggest place they did not come out to vote for him. He understands he has to appease the Muslim community, the Arab American community, which has been a key component of the Democratic Party, or he has no shot of winning Michigan. And I believe if he can't win Michigan, it's going to be very tough for Biden to win the presidency.
So US domestic policy comes before relations with Israel under Biden administration, in your view?
I think these are very inextricably linked. I think you saw the other day, which I think is kind of performative, is these assaults by the Persians and the counter assaults by Israel. I think it's very tough for us to understand truly what's going on here. Look, I covered this live on my show the day it happened. I can't believe they just fired the head of the IDF intelligence services resigned. I can't believe we had an intelligence failure from MI6, from CIA, DNI, that didn't understand that Hamas had taken almost 2 years to train for this, all the logistics training, all of it. Yep. When you had an airborne assault, I mean, it was a multi-pronged, over 40 miles of geography. It was a quite complicated assault on October 7th. I do not believe that our intelligence agencies, as dialed in as they are with the Egyptians, with UAE, with the Saudis, and our own assets in those areas, particularly the British and American combined, we have better intelligence than the intelligence services there. I cannot believe that we were caught blind by this. So the whole thing.
Well, you think you believe that someone knew it was coming and let it happen?
I don't know, Harry. There has to be an investigation. Here's what I do know, is that because I've sat in those secured briefings before, we have, between the British and the Americans, tremendous resources and assets in those countries. We have partners on intelligence, whether it's Egypt, UAE, Saudi, that are every bit as good as the IDF intelligence or the Mossad. I can't believe that there was a failure of all of that, given the scale of the attack, given the sophistication of the attack, given the training that had to go on for years for the attack. I just don't believe that. I don't buy it. I need to see, and one guy resigning doesn't solve it for me. This is like a Pearl Harbor or like a 9/11. You have to get into this. And quite frankly, in the United States, everybody's looked the other way. There's been no real push for the intelligence failure on our side again in the Middle East, and it needs to happen. That's why I think there's a lot of ambivalence in America, including in the traditional evangelical right, which has always had Israel's back. There's a lot of questions. Now, our show, we're very pro-Israel, and I've always said you got to get the job done, but there's a lot of questions that are unanswered.
It looks like there's going to be another Trump presidency, or is it? Is he 100% going to be the candidate, and is he going to get through the next 8 months?
Well, he's definitely going to be the candidate, but I think that you see right now, although polling Harry's looked great up till now, you know, the lawfare is really starting to kick in here. He's in a court in Lower Manhattan on these kind of bizarre, trumped up charges of these bookkeeping issues that they've got him up on, but really is to take a porn star, a playmate, Bunny, and the Billy Bush situation of grab him by the whatever, and just to play that to the American people for the next 6 to 8 weeks while he's off the campaign trail. So we're in a very tough part of this campaign right now. And President Trump has got to continue to focus that his opponent is Joe Biden. His opponent is not the judge in the court. And so every day is going to be a tough one.
Do you think he'll be able to resist the temptation to have a massive swing at the judge, end up, you know, hindering his chances of making this making this go away? Or is it, you know, is there in a perverse way, like he did in 2016, sort of a way of sort of hacking the media and having blanket coverage that you can't buy? Is it priced in almost?
Well, it's a great observation. Number one, the global media, which has not been following his rallies, are forced to follow when he walks to the sticks in the afternoon. But I think that message has got to be tailored about Biden and not every day just about the judge. More importantly, you saw the other day when he went up to Harlem and they were standing 6 and 7 and 8 deep cheering for him. What I call a bodega run. He went to see the Bodega Association. He needs to do that like every other day. He needs to run for mayor of New York for the next 6 to 8 weeks. When he's out of the courtroom, he needs to turn the guns back onto Biden. I think if we do this and you do it smartly, this could be a net positive for the campaign. But remember, the mainstream media right here now, MSNBC, the New York Times, CNN, it's just nonstop coverage of Stormy Daniels, who's like, she's now become the Virgin Mary, the Playmate Bunny, everything that happened on Billy Bush. It's not about the bookkeeping issue. It's all about Trump being a troglodyte when it comes to women.